they will have a camper. Okay, so they're going to break down their own financial structure. I briefed a doctorate in economics last year in North Carolina, Edgefield County. She wrote a column for the Edgefield County Observer, and she immediately got her state comprehensive annual financial report counting. Her school district was always crying poverty, 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 and they had 4 tax increases. Right off the bat, she saw that the Edgefield County School District had $36 million invested in the local government investment pool. She went to the county school commissioner. What are you doing with millions of dollars invested in the marketplace? He goes, you're crazy. We don't have money invested in the market. We're poor. She produced the statement from the local government investment pool. Here's $36 million. His next response was, that's the account we pay our expenses for out of the year and our salaries. And she goes, okay. She pulls out the following year's report. It showed they had $29 million invested. There's additions, there's withdrawals. The principal never changed, and they had a $7 million increase for the year. Yeah. If she didn't look, she didn't have it in her hands, this guy would have continued lying straight to her face. Okay? When you look at a school district, look at the comprehensive annual financial report. Look very closely at the notes in the comprehensive annual financial report. A very important point I just remembered I didn't mention. Everybody hears bond issuances. Oh my God, they're going to sock us for another bond issuance. $100 million for this road, $100 million for this school district, $50 million for the prison. When I started looking at the records, I saw this in Missouri first. I saw bond dividend yield, $19 million. Bond dividend yield, $36 million. Okay? And I said, why is the state declaring income on these bonds? I started looking, then I saw the Missouri Finance Authority. They had created their own financial authority, which now took investment funds from all of the cities, counties, school districts, authorities, in the tune of several $billion. When they had a bond issuance for that county road, that school, that jail, I always thought the public was funding that. Guess what? They're using our money to fund our own debt, putting us in and charging it. Well, they're saying they're getting a good rate of return on our money. They're doing us a favor.
These guys are very, very good.
Okay? So that's a very important point to remember. They're funding their own debt through the bond issuances. They could pay cash. Okay? Oh, one quick notation. Back to the school. They said on the non-college, but non-colleges is very important. 10 years ago when I looked at New Jersey, it had all these state colleges and universities consolidated into one financial column. I noticed right off the bat they had $8.5 billion in liquid investment funds. They made a $1.1 billion return on their investment funds for the year. Brought them up to $9.6 billion. My next question is, what's the total tuitions for all the state colleges and universities? It was $644 million. I said, gee, they made $1.1 billion on the return. Total tuitions were $644 million. Kids could have gone to school for free for the year and gotten paid to go to school. What they did in reality was, citing a shortfall of operating budgetary revenue, they had a 7% tuition increase.
Are we to believe that every governor knows what is going on with the state money? Do the mayors know? Do you think this information motivates young George Bush to lower taxes?
On all levels, there's a certain amount of knowledge. But you have to realize, we're talking I always talk forests. Many leaves, branches, and trees in the forest. Most politicians are dealing with their own little leaves or branches or trees in the forest, building their own little empires, rubbing their own little elbows within that one tree, branch, or group of leaves. So they're focused on what they're doing. Okay, so the total overall spectrum of the forest, very few know. George Bush, his father knows. George Bush, I don't think he has a clue. He's been told, but I don't think he caught it. I'm sure his advisors told him, but George has always reminded me of someone who's being fronted up. Gee whiz, I'm going to be president. And you know, his father's behind him, and the solid power structure, because they know they can direct him and push him in different directions. And, hey, if we ever need to start a war, he's a real good candidate. All we have to do is flip his switch, and he'll start a war. What do you think about it? But
like Carter.
Talk about judges, talk about what judges get. Are the judges in on this crime?
I gotta take a deep breath first.
Remember, you're going to be in court someday.
No, they better worry, I'll be in court one day. The, 10 years ago, when I got the first comprehensive annual financial report, it had the pensions broken down. I didn't understand the actuarial basis on pensions, but one of our volunteers wrote the pension funds for Blue Cross Blue Shield nationally. Gave him the book, I asked him to compare New Jersey's pensions with a Fortune 500 company. He told me it would take him about 2 weeks, to break it down. 2 weeks later, I checked back and I said, what do you got? He goes, well, on a scale from 1 to 10, with a Johnson & Johnson being a 5, he said all of New Jersey's pensions are a 7, excluding the judicial branch. He said the judicial branch was the Millionaire Boys Retirement Club. Every state judge in New Jersey was guaranteed $5 million after serving 1-year tenure. There was no 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year, fade-in program. They accomplished their full pension package, which was excessive, after serving 1-year tenure. By the way, Arizona's 18 months, and it was 4.8 million last time I checked. The 5 million from New Jersey was back 10 years ago, it's probably up to about 7 million now. California covered themselves in '96, being that the word had gotten out back to New Jersey, and they wanted to give some look of proprietary. They started Judges Pension Fund A and Judges Pension Fund B. Pension Fund, the A was the prior, which tenure, they had their full package. All new ones after '96, they had to work 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Federal district court judges. I figured, well, I quoted on state, let's look for federal. A couple of years, kind of just kept my eyes open casually, couldn't see anything. So finally, after about 5 people asked me about that, I decided to, crunch a little rocks and find out. Called all over the place, couldn't find anything on federal judges' retirement or pension funds. Finally, a court clerk out, and I think it was Oklahoma, was honest. She goes, well, actually, federal judges don't have a retirement or pension fund. I said, why? They said, well, they're appointed for life. They get their full paycheck and benefits for life. So now I said, okay, so now I looked and found the statutes which govern that point. And I also noticed when I was looking that they had all teamed up together and changed the law to where when they die, they can assign their full paycheck and benefits for the life of their surviving spouse or dependent relative. Do you wonder why these judges are always marrying young girls? They also then, the following year, teamed up together. They say, we did this on the first time, let's do it again. They teamed up again and said, there's been a devaluation of the dollar, and they gave themselves a 26% pay increase. I sent out an email post on that, and I put at the bottom of it, I said, as Jackie Gleason always said, how sweet it is.
Why do they raise our taxes to pay for sports stadiums when it would be peanuts for the state to pay for it?
They're not wearing diapers and everyone else is.
I'm going to do this in 2 parts. You have heard of the public trust. If all of the states, counties, and cities are corporations, where are the trusts? The second part is, what are the practical steps, brief and to the point, that we individuals can do about it?
It all boils down to, again, learning basic fundamental reality. Most of you that have a computer up to this now, start looking at comprehensive annual financial reports. Start with the statistical section first, learn the fundamentals, see the growth. Look at the revenue being brought in. It's unacceptable. Steve had given me Glendale's comprehensive annual financial report. Looked at it for about 2 minutes, went right to the statistical section. My question was, statistical sections give you a 10-year demographics. I said, what was the increase in the revenue taken from the populace? 100%, over 100% increase. What monies were being brought in, by government departments. Now, they gave themselves 300% more revenue over that period of time. The basic, money that went out to the populace, okay, the general, benefit to the populace, that increased by 100%. So they increased for themselves 300%, 100% for the public. I guess that's fair, but you have to learn the basics. Now, I jumped ahead many years. When I learned this, it took me years to gradually shift in getting the comprehension, the basic fundamental comprehension, because there's so much of a veil in front of you to keep you send you flying off in left and right field. So you miss the obvious. And I've worked on seeing the obvious. The program I'm putting together for the one county I'll be targeting and the prospectus, there'll be a draft prospectus that will be created, which is written in stone as to its application and why, not to be modified, which will allow for the elimination of taxation. That model will be distributed across the country for any city, county, or state to implement the exact same program. I'll be traveling to New York and a few other states, meeting with the heads of the different brokerage houses to make them an offer they can't refuse. Okay, and that offer being to team up the top, say, 15 different brokerage houses, the research departments, where anyone from any city, county, or state can come to them, and they've created an association where if they want to write that prospectus for their city, county, and state, they'll do it right there on the bank, and so forth. This will allow to sweep out across the country for implementing the same program. Now, I've realized from all of my research, the real power structure is not these little corrupt politicians, judges, and everything. They're having a little field day, making their own little empires and getting a few million here and there. But the real power structure is the institutional bank, brokerage, and insurance conglomerates. They have been building these different little financial structures for composite governments so they can manage funds. You try to take the money from them, they'll stop you cold in their tracks. If I was down shooting the banks, the brokerage houses, and the insurance companies, and say we're going to liquidate all their assets, I wouldn't. I'd want you all to run out of this room because I'd be concerned for your life. Okay, they're not the criminal side. They're playing the money and they're investing the money, but under the proposition I'm making, it centralizes into an annuity pension fund principle to benefit all resident taxpayers, to knock out and eliminate taxation and possibility of return. So here you have this massive investment funds building up, which is now funding corporations, businesses. Everyone is getting 100% productivity for their work value, which you're now spending in the economy. You have a phenomenal economy building.
Who gets their money when they die, if they die? Are you familiar with the Baskerville case and Roy Schlesinger, I guess it is? Does your plan have anything to do with it or them? While we should focus on where government is, hiding the big socks, I guess it is, we must not let our rage take our focus off of God.
I just have to ask, qualify, who is who? Who gets their money when they die? Who's who?
Vote.
Correct.
You're out of mention the judges.
Oh, on the, are you talking about, so if it's on the...
Judge's pension fund goes to the wife and then...
Yeah, well, it's not a pension fund.
Yeah.
They don't have, it's their paycheck, continued salary and benefits.